we've done using this methodology. So you'll have to forgive us as we wander our way through the technology of an e-club. If you don't mind, I think I'll let Denise kick off. She'd like a few minutes just to talk to you about a particular project that she has, and then I'll come in afterwards. I find it's the only way I can get the last word is if I let her go first. So with your indulgence, we'll swap chairs and headsets and let Denise take it away.
Hello.
Hi, better looking too.
Hi, how are you? Okay, am I good to go?
Fine, thank you. Yep.
Okay, well, every year, as you probably are far more aware than I was, the district governor's partner gets an opportunity to decide whether to run his or her own project. And the project that I've come up with is one that we came across last year. We were in Timor-Leste for a Rotary conference, and we saw very, very many worthwhile projects while we were up there. The Rotary kind of really took us around. But the project that absolutely appealed to me, as both a mother and a grandmother, was one whereby extremely malnourished babies and their mums are taken into a facility, an existing program, where the mothers learn what it takes to restore their baby to full health. These are babies who are 70 and 80% underweight and who have very little chance of surviving left to their own devices back in their villages. While they're there, the mothers learn how to source seeds and plant them, look after their crop, harvest it, and cook a healthy range of foods for their babies. It's a really sustainable project, which is something I think we sort of work towards in Rotary, because it's not just that baby's life that's saved. When that young mother goes back into her community with her healthy baby, after all the best advertisement you can get, she teaches the whole village what she's learned. Sending out pamphlets wouldn't do any good because most of the population is illiterate. But the other aspect to it is, and normally if I was in a Rotary meeting, I'd ask all the grandfathers in the room to raise their hands. So have I got some grandfathers here today? Yeah, I thought I might have. Excellent. Well, there aren't very many granddads, unfortunately, in Timor-Leste after the troubles up there. And the result of that, and a lot of other things that have happened in Timor-Leste, is that it has one of the highest incidences of domestic violence in the world. So this particular project aims to also assist that situation, because when those young mums go back into their village, armed with knowledge that saved their baby's life and to help others, they're seen to have a higher status. They're seen as being educated. So what I plan to do this year to support this project is to run a raffle. It's going to be a food-related raffle. I've got already about $5,000 worth of donated prizes, and I'm going to seek assistance from Rotary clubs and Rotarians in the district to help me sell some of those raffle tickets. Won't be drawn until changeover next year, so there's a good long lead time. And very desirable prizes, and I hope that you might be able to help me sell a few raffle tickets in your local communities. That's about all I have to say unless you have any questions.
No
questions?
It sounds like a really worthwhile project.
Look, I think it is a worthwhile project, and it's one that, because one of the things about Timor-Leste is there's no real reason for these babies to be so malnourished. The country is not in famine. They have plenty of rainfall. They have fertile soil. But through what they've lived through over a very large number of years, particularly the last 30 or 40 years, there's a lot of ignorance around food. So these mums think a belly full of white rice is adequate nutrition for their child. And there's really no reason for these babies to be dying. There's no reason any baby should be dying anywhere in the world, but what I'm saying is there is ample sources of food if they know what to do. And yeah, I think it's worthwhile. They've been good neighbours to us, especially over the war years. I think they're one of our closest neighbours, and I think it deserves support. So, as I said, unless you have any questions, I might hand over to Rowley.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. This is very exciting. I could learn to like this. All right, thanks very much. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Changing of the guard. I'm trying to convince Denise to come back to Rotary, so you may find her as a member of the E-Club before the year's out.
That'll be wonderful.
Hello, Margaret. How are you? I can see you too, John Britton, sitting in the background there.
Yes, I missed you at South Nowra, so I'm catching you here, Rowley.
Oh, that's all right, John. You should have taken the opportunity to miss it completely. You'd have been probably far better off. Look, I guess the journey that Denise and I started on, I wasn't going to tell this story, but I'm quite intrigued with this technology, so I'm going to give it a whirl anyway. But when we started out this journey, I have to admit that you do wonder about the role of the governor and where it fits into the Rotary picture. Well, it didn't take very long for us to find out, because it's about the second club I think we went to. Now, I don't wear a tie to ordinary Rotary meetings, let alone meetings of the E-Club, but I do wear a jacket, and I usually travel with it hanging on the back seat of the car. And we pulled up outside the venue on the night in question, and here am I in the Prado, head in, backside out, hunting around in the dark for the jacket, the folder, and all the other rubbish that you cart around with you. And there was a little tap on the shoulder, and I sort of turned around, and the only thing I could see was sort of an epaulette and a Rotary pin, and a voice that said, oh, he said, would you be coming to our Rotary Club tonight? And I said, I would. He said, oh, good. He said, I'll take you inside and introduce you around. I said, that'd be nice. He said, you picked a bad night. He said, the district governor's coming, so it's not going to be very interesting. So that sort of set the scene, and it was only the next week. Now, you've read the district survey, because I know all Rotarians read the district governor's newsletter, so you would know that I don't have notes. I don't have a prepared script. Stop waving it around, Jeffrey. I know you've got it. But I tend to write notes on serviettes during dinner, so that I've got something to talk about when it's my turn. And we went into a particular club and looked around the table. These were the serviettes that were on the table. No way was I going to write on them. So I worked out fairly quickly that the role of the governor was to get in, say as little as possible in as short a time as possible, then sit down and shut up. However, I can see Ross Ellis stopped laughing. I would like just to take a little bit of time tonight to perhaps give you some thoughts of where I see the future of Rotary going over the next 12 months and beyond, and to share with you a couple of the passions, the thing that still keep me involved in Rotary. And I think those passions are very important, because it's those passions that keep all of us coming back to Rotary week after week, and wanting to continue to serve. I think in many respects the future of our organisation is not operating as single Rotary clubs. And I know that you guys, being in an E-Club, would appreciate that perhaps more than many other clubs. But I think the future of our organisation is working together. I started out my life as a science teacher. I went to my first school, and they said, well, here's your program, science and maths. I said, I don't teach maths. They said, all science teachers teach maths. I said, wrong, you're looking at the first one who doesn't. Because I never could work out this 1 + 1 = 2 equation. And since I've been in Rotary, and the longer I've stayed in Rotary, the more I've realised that indeed in Rotary 1 + 1 does not equal 2. Because I know that if I take one Rotary club and it works together with another Rotary club, that the product that comes out at the other end is going to be far more than either of those two Rotary clubs could achieve, either singly or adding the total product together. And I think that's the future of our organisation. I think it's working together, perhaps with other Rotary clubs, but not necessarily, perhaps with other community clubs who have a similar philosophy as we do, in wanting simply to do things that do good in the world and good in our communities. And I guess there's no greater illustration of that than our own Polio Plus. And if we think about that, Polio Plus was the vision of one man, a guy called Clem Renouf from the Rotary Club of Nambour in Queensland. And in 1979, Sir Clem was the Rotary International President. And he had the vision that perhaps, just perhaps, Rotary could rid the world of polio. Now, Clem couldn't do it by himself. Indeed, he couldn't do it with the Rotary Club of Nambour, nor could he do it with all of the 1,130-odd Rotary clubs in Australia. But when you take the power of 34,000 Rotary clubs right around the world, add that to the World Health Organization, the United Nations Children's Children's Emergency Fund, the US Centers for Disease Control, and in the last couple of years, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, then we really can do things of that magnitude successfully. And to my mind, that really is the power of one magnified by those organisations. And so I think that that's where our future perhaps lies. We don't have to do it alone. We can do it with other clubs, but there's another bunch of people that we should never forget that are out there and are willing to serve, and that's our young folk. Within Rotary, we've got young people in our family of Rotary. We've got interactors, we've got Rotaractors, but there are also a whole bunch of other youngsters out there who, despite what you might read in the popular press, really do have an ethos of wanting to serve their communities. And they are quite happy to come and join us in various projects, particularly those projects that push the buttons, the things that are important to them. They may not want to join Rotary, but in time they may. And I think we need to harvest that talent and get it to work with us as we proceed doing the things that we do to do good in the world. And that's why this year our District Rotary Conference will be themed Our Youth, Our Future, because District Governor Barry, whose district is joining us, District 9675, which is the district that covers Sydney City and south of the M4, joining us in a conference to celebrate our youth as being our future. So we're hopeful that we'll have 800 to maybe up as many as 1,000 Rotarians and their guests here in Canberra at the National Convention Centre from the 14th to the 16th of November. To make it easier for our young folk to come on board, I think that's Mark Wallace either coming on board or trying to, typical assistant governor, never on time for anything. However, to make it easier for those young folk to come along, Barry and I have agreed that we won't charge them a conference fee. They can come to the conference for nothing, unless they want to go to either the Friday night or the Saturday night dinner. We can't give them that for free. But that will mean that we will have a bunch of young people able to join us in that celebration of our youth. Barry and I have also talked about the fact that we know that if we can get a Rotarian to come along to one district conference, they will have such a great time, they will enjoy themselves, they will learn, they will share, and they will want to come back. So what we've agreed to do is that for new Rotarians, that is anybody who's joined our Rotary organisation since the 1st of November last year, we'll also make the conference free for them. So we're really trying to open up the conference to our new Rotarians and our young family of Rotary members to make it easy for them to be able to celebrate with us. So if you're available and can get there, we would love to see you and have you join us for that weekend in November. I did promise when we started this journey that I wouldn't wander around the 48 clubs in our district talking about the dreaded M word. Now, you all know as well as I do what the dreaded M word is. I promised I wouldn't say it, but in this medium I have no choice. Of course, it's membership. And so I'm not going to talk about membership to you tonight, although I know it's dear to your heart. What I do want to do is to remind you of something that our past Rotary President, Ron Burton, said last year. And Ron said to us, if you weren't already a member of your Rotary Club today, would you still want to join it? And if not, why not? And by the way, what are you going to do about it? And what Ron was really saying to us was that we need, in all Rotary clubs, every now and again to think about what we're doing, to think about whether our club still inspires in us the passion that caused us to join it in the first place? And if it's not doing those things, what do we need to change so that it does engender that inspiration and that motivation to still want to come along week after week and to serve? Because if we don't do that, then our members will walk out of Rotary clubs and they will go and find something that does create that inspiration and inspire that passion in them. That's our internal audience. That's ourselves, our Rotary clubs and our members. But there's also, as you all know, a huge audience outside that have not been members of Rotary and perhaps don't even understand what our organisation is about. And we have to ask ourselves, if they're sitting outside looking in, what are they seeing? Are they seeing the organisation that is creating an inspiration for them to want to come and join us? And if they're not seeing that, is there something that we can do to change the way that we operate that makes us more attractive to them? Now, I can't give you the answers to those questions because the answers to those questions lie within each individual Rotary club. The members of each club have to make the decision about where their priority lies. Is their focus purely on making sure that their own members are happy and the rest of the world doesn't matter? Or is there a need to want to attract more members to come into the club? And what might we be prepared to change, to innovate, to make it more attractive? All I can ask each Rotary club to do is occasionally to have that conversation. To have that conversation within the club, to make sure that what you are doing is looking after your own already members. And if you want members, is what you're doing going to look inviting to those who might want to come and join you? So what keeps me coming along and still with a passion for Rotary? And I just want to mention two things this evening. The first is the foundation, the Rotary Foundation. Our foundation, our charity. It's the Rotary Foundation that enables us to do the big projects on the international stage. It's the Rotary Foundation, for example, that looks after Polio Plus. Now, since 1985, when Rotary started Polio Plus in the Philippines, Rotarians, you, me, and the 1.2 million Rotarians around the world have contributed to Polio Plus in excess of $1.3 billion. Every one of those dollars has gone through the Rotary Foundation. It's the Rotary Foundation that funds our large educational projects, the Global Scholars, the Peace Fellows. It's the Rotary Foundation that enables us to do the big humanitarian projects in water and sanitation, in child maternity health, and all of the other priorities of the Foundation. And because the Foundation is that engine room of Rotary in doing the big world, big international projects, I believe that we have an obligation to the Foundation, an obligation on two fronts. I think we have an obligation as individual Rotarians, and I think we have an obligation as Rotary clubs. Now, I know that each of us, at the beginning of any year, has a limited amount of charity dollars in our pocket that we want to use for charitable purposes during the year. I would not presume to tell you where you should place your charity dollars, as I no doubt you would not presume to tell me. All I can ask you as a Rotarian, and you as individual Rotarians, is when you're making those decisions each year as to where you'll place your charity dollars, that you consider our Foundation as a possible beneficiary. But I don't believe as Rotary clubs we have that luxury. I think as Rotary clubs we have an obligation to our Foundation, because if we as Rotary clubs are not prepared to support our own Foundation, how can we look the likes of Bill and Melinda Gates in the eye and ask and expect that they will continue to support our Foundation? So I simply leave you with that as a thought. My second passion is a fairly new one in the district, and that's the Rotary Learning Initiative, being chaired by Jackie Page from Berrimah District. And the Rotary Leadership Initiative is fairly new. It's a program that enables Rotarians to get together, Rotarians of all ages, all experiences, to get together to learn more about the wonderful game of Rotary that we enjoy, to share skills, to share experiences, to share knowledge, and at the same time to have a great deal of fun doing it. It's a 3-day program, but to make it easier, rather than running it as a 3-day program, it runs 1 day per month over 3 months, so that makes it fairly readily accessible. A bunch of Rotarians from different clubs around the district get together and run through a program that explores Rotary in many of its facets, and it enables the Rotarians who are involved to bring back some of those new experiences into their own Rotary clubs, perhaps to enhance the way that we do our business as we do good in the community. I did the program last year, and I can say in all honesty, I have no doubt that at the end of those 3 days I was a much better Rotarian than I had been 3 days earlier. So if you have the opportunity, I would suggest very strongly that you consider getting along to one. I know there are 4 programs already scheduled in the district, one running at the moment in Canberra, one in Merimbula. Excuse me, there is one scheduled for the Shoalhaven in the first half of next year. There's one scheduled for Goulburn in the first half of next year. And I know the folks in the Southern Highlands are pressuring Jackie to run one there, as are those in the Snowy Mountains. So there will be opportunities to take advantage of that, and I think that it's certainly worthwhile doing. You would all appreciate that our current Rotary International President, Gary Wang, is the first Chinese president of Rotary International. Gary's from Taiwan, the Rotary Club of Taipei. So it's perhaps not unexpected that when Gary was looking for a theme for his year, that he turned to the Chinese philosopher Confucius. Now, Confucius said many things, some of which are not repeatable in open forum, allegedly. But one of the things that he did say was, "It is better to light a single candle than to sit and curse the darkness." And Gary thought, what about if 1.2 million candles could be lit? What would that do to lightening the darkness of those areas of the world in need? And so, my friends, our challenge this year for all 1.2 million of us is to join President Gary to light that candle, and as we do so, to light up Rotary. Thanks, President Jeff. Happy to take questions. I haven't got any.
Just want to make sure.
Look, there we go. I've got you.
Just want to make sure that I'm back online because I have muted my myself. Good. Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Rowley. I just wonder if anybody does have any questions. Well, I have one, and it's actually nothing. It's nothing that you've actually mentioned tonight, but it came up at the Highlands President's meeting on Monday night. Now, I just want to mention that Mark Wallace is online.
Yes, I can see that.
He's just sent a message saying, "Are you aware I'm here?" But he's actually struck dumb by the technology. So it's the first time he's been silent for a while.
Well, Mark does have a great face for radio.
Right. Well, we'll go. Oh dear, that's bad. One thing that came up on Monday night, which I actually found quite interesting, and sort of been keeping half an eye on things, has been the situation with regards to Ebola in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
That just about everybody seems to be paralysed in terms of being able to do anything about it. But I know that Rotary is already active. I'm not sure whether they're actually on the ground, but certainly they've been raising money in that direction. Rowley, do you happen to know anything about? Are you hearing anything or know of any programs that are underway?
No, Jeff, I'm not hearing anything directly. I do understand that there is a link with one of the Rotary clubs in Africa. Excuse me, that I saw and I passed on to Richard Crone and the folks at Berrima District because of a link they have in a medical sense. But I've not seen anything specifically. I understand at the moment that the need is for cash rather than in-kind support, but I have no doubt that as this unfolds, there will probably be a need for medical equipment, and I know that Berrima Districts Club, through their association with Ramsay Health, have got some of that's ready to go when and if it's called for.
Yeah, they've actually donated $5,000.
Yes, so I believe.
I see. Yeah, we're getting little messages here from Mark as he's trying to make his point. I'll try and pick them up as they actually come up. So we've actually got nothing organised. It just struck home again today because there's been a scare in Queensland, as people may be aware, that somebody just come back from the Congo and has wound up in hospital for whatever reason. They're still not sure of what is wrong with him. But I understand they've shoved him in isolation anyway. So even whether he's got it or not, it's still pretty scary because it may have. There was a potential for it to arrive here.
Yeah, look, I think it's as scary as polio. You know, even though we may be free of that particular disease too, it only takes one visitor to come in from a country and bring it with it, and it can be here as quickly as the next aircraft lands.
Yeah. The other thing you were talking about membership earlier as well, Rowley, which actually
I didn't say that, Jeff.
No, I know it was something you didn't say, but I was going to raise it tonight. That in actual fact, you were talking about a club having a look at itself in terms of how it appears to an external audience.
Yep.
And I mentioned earlier that there is a go-to webinar that's been organised by Rotary International in Evanston, which is being run on the 9th of October. Wait for it, folks, at 2 a.m. our time. So I'll be talking to David to see if we can actually record that and make it available to the members at a more civilised hour. But the webinar is part of a series to do with membership, but this particular episode deals with club evaluation and visioning, which, as you're aware, is pretty dear to my heart.
Yep.
It's going to feature Steve Wilcox from the International Vision Facilitation Council. So he's actually been involved quite a bit in helping clubs develop their strategic plans. So I think it's going to be well worth us getting involved with that.
Yeah,
but thank you for raising it.
Yeah, no, look, I think it would be great. I know Steve Wilcox. Steve came out to Australia to do the training for the initial visioning team when we started visioning in Australia. He's a guy who knows it very well. I think those membership webinars are well worthwhile. I'm not sure that I would recommend that you need to get up at 2 a.m. But if David can secure a copy of that you can view at a more leisure hour, then I think it would be well worth it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what will be involved in terms of technology of us recording it, because I'm not sure whether whether RI is doing it or not. But anyway, I've said enough. Is there anybody else that's got any questions or any comments to make?
Just for the record, Jeff and Rowley and Bruce and Ken and Margaret and John there, I'm online via my phone line, so and I heard everything you said about me before.
Oh, look. Well, in that case, mate, you won't be disappointed. But look, can I take the opportunity while Mark's listening, because I love embarrassing Mark. I do want to acknowledge a couple of people. I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of Beth Woolley, who's on the district team looking after our vocational training team and doing a great job. And I also want to acknowledge the work that Mark's doing and the fact that he's come on board as an assistant governor. He has a wealth of Rotary knowledge, as I don't need to tell all of you. All I can say is, make great use of him, make him work for the exorbitant salary that we pay him in the district.
You doubled it this year, didn't you, Rowley?
No, I told you could put an extra zero on it, and I didn't care which side of the decimal point it was. But in all seriousness, Mark really is a great asset for you to have, and flog him mercilessly because he deserves it.
Thanks for that, Rowley. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I think the Rotary denomination is called monopoly money, isn't it, Rowley?
Well, it is as far as Mark's concerned. He earns far too much at ADU anyway.
Yeah, that's with District 9710 and ADU.
Yeah.
Rowley, Bruce Harvey.
Yeah, Bruce.
G'day, Mark. How you going?
G'day, Bruce.
Everyone. Rowley, question about the conference.
Yeah.
Who's putting the program together for that? And I was wondering if you can give us a contact.
Yeah, the program was put together in conjunction with District 9675, principally by our two co-conference chairs, Clive Badelow here in 9710 and Kate McKenzie in 9675. The program is pretty well now locked away, as you would appreciate, only being a couple of months out. And we would hope that we will have that program on the web fairly shortly. All of the presenters are now on the web, so you can have a look at the sort of presenters that we've got. Keynote, obviously, Brendan Nelson on the Friday night, and we're bringing a young lady down from, I think it's Cambodia, to talk to us. And then only in recent times we've secured the services of Ken Hutt from the Rotary Club of Berry, who was mad enough to jump off a mountain in Nepal from about 8,000 metres in a hang glider to raise money for polio. I told you there must have been easier ways to do it, but Ken's a bit mad.
Right.
My goodness.
No, the reason I'm asking, Rowley, is you may or may not be aware, but I'm chairman of the Dream Cricket
I am aware.
International program, and I was wondering if we might be able to get an opportunity to talk briefly at the conference, or have a stand or something where we can.
Talking might be problematic, but a stand, Bruce, we would be delighted to provide for you.
Okay.
No problem there at all. We'll make one of those available to you. I'll undertake when we finish tonight to actually drop a note to Brian Goldstraw at Hall, who's looking after the stand side of the house from this district, to let him know that he should reserve one for you.
Oh, that's great. Brian's a great supporter of us.
Yep.
Yeah. Terrific. Thanks, Rowley. That's good.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kent. Mark, are you still online?
Still here, mate. Yep.
Right. Surely you've got some questions.
Won't have any answers. I know that.
No. You do have to understand that that's about the fourth time I've heard Rowley tell that joke.
So you weren't laughing?
I was rolling.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, having served as assistant governor myself, I've gone through that same process of listening to the same governor's speech, and for 2 or 3 years, it does become a bit wearing.
Oh, I know where you're coming from, but
sorry, Rowley, nothing personal.
No, not taken personally. Just remember though, Jeff, Denise has to listen to it 48 times.
Oh yes.
That's where the Paul Harris just there alone, isn't it?
I reckon that's why I put it first up rather than leaving it at the end. That way, at least I scored up some credit points before we started the year.
Fair enough.
There was just one question, and I should have checked with David about this beforehand, as to whether we can make this tonight's proceedings available to the people that are not here.
Oh, I can tell you, I can answer that one for you. David is taping it, and he will be loading it onto YouTube.
Oh, thank goodness! I'm really pleased that somebody thinks ahead. It was only it was me that was. You got well into your presentation. I thought, oh my goodness, we got people missing tonight.
Well, I thought I should apologise, because that means it inflicts it on everybody else that otherwise thought they might have got away with it.
No, they're not going to get away. We'll make sure that it's part of their weekly activities.
Can I just ask, Jeff? So, I mean, I know Bruce and Rowley are in Canberra, and you're in Mossvale or thereabouts. Ken, where are you from, and where are you from, Margaret and John?
Oh, I'm from Canberra. Right.
Ordinary.
You're Canberra?
Wasn't it?
We're from Basin Junior, St George's Basin. John's a member of South Narrow. Yeah.
I'm a member of South Narrow, and we're speaking to you from Mackay in Queensland as we speak.
That's excellent. And what about you, Ross? I just see you just coming online there now.
I thought since you're only picking up the photos, I'm in Canberra.
You're in Canberra too. Okay, right, fine.
Yeah, and we've got Christine Bell, our secretary, who's in Darwin, but I don't think she's with us tonight. In fact, I'm sure she's not. So.
Fair enough.
So see how wide your assistant governorship spreads, Mark?
Geez, mate, as long as I don't have to do the visits, that's fine, man.
Oh, look, you can do the visits as long as you pay for them.
Well, a month or two ago, Christine was in France.
Christine was in France.
Yeah, she was over there for annual holidays. They've got a house over there, so she was over there for some little while. So you would have gone international, Mark, if it had been a month or two earlier.
Oh, well, you can always invite me next time.
Yeah, we will. Well, you're welcome at any time anyway.
Yeah. Like I said to you on Monday night, mate, just include me on your mailing list and I'll be there whenever I can.
Well, we'll make sure you're on the GoToMeeting invitation list, and that any time we do have an online meeting, you'll obviously be welcome.
Thank you, man.
And Mark, if you want to friend me on Facebook, if you've got a thing, we can put you on our private Facebook group, which is where we tend to organise stuff.
Okay, Ross. Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's Ross McConnell 39.
Okay, well that means it.
When were you that age?
That's our school street number.
Oh, this is a real Rotary club.
He's intending to be in a couple of years' time.
That was permanent. We are getting a little bit unkind. All right. Well, I think it's left to me to thank you, Rowley, for fronting up tonight. It must be one of the better occasions, as much as you haven't had to travel too far away from home.
No, look,
that's one of the jobs that I really wouldn't envy any district governor.
No, look, Jeff,
and also to thank.
So David and Jenny have been magnificent hosts, and it has been an experience. I was saying to David earlier tonight, the only thing I had anything like it was about a month or so ago we were at Canberra South, and they were awarding a Paul Harris Fellow, or naming a Paul Harris Fellow. Now, that was fine because we were in Narrabundah. The recipient was in Singapore, and but his two daughters were in Canberra, so we did the presentation at Narrabundah and had a Skype link to Singapore that worked absolutely perfectly, and that was a real experience. And I've got to say, tonight was another one of those experiences. I've done a GoToMeeting before, but never with the visual side, and so seeing all of your rather good-looking faces, with the exception of John Britton, there is quite an experience. It's all right, Margaret. You're looking fine.
Well, I've got to say that the technology is not perfect, and it's obviously something that's going to improve over time, or at least we hope it is. But at the moment, as you would have gathered already, things do break up a little bit, and as Mark found, sometimes it's not always possible to get the equipment working. I think in his case, his webcam has let him down.
Well, if you buy them from BW, they don't work too well.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, I was about to mention something like that, but I thought I'd leave that to you.
We're very conscious of subscribers' fees that we have to charge to be able to pay for all of this, and so we're just going to the bargain here.
Well,
it's interesting though, Jeffrey, that you're talking about, and Rowley, you were talking about conducting a PHF by Skype. I think we've got a piece either in the coming edition of RDU or the current one, if I get confused about what month it is these days. We've actually done a membership induction over Skype where the new member was somewhere overseas.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's happening all over the place.
Yep.
And this style of Rotary, I think you'll find our cover story for the October edition is all about how E-Club members seem to be the ones having the most fun. So there you go.
Well, I think Ross Ellis made the comment as well that the E-Club members are probably more informed than most Rotarians, for the simple reason that they have their homework every week to do and all the reading, which again I've got to acknowledge. And while the district governor is present of the work that Ross Ellis in helping me out, whilst I can't operate a keyboard. So, and I really haven't got on top of the other technology, which of course is voice recognition software. I'm trying, but it's still a bit of an issue. Well, unless there's anything else, I think it's 8:40. So unless anybody's got anything else to add to the agenda or would like to make some comments, I think I will close the meeting.
Just before you do, Jeff, it's Ross. I just wondered if
you're online.
Who was coming tomorrow? Yes, I'm coming tomorrow morning. I can't. My screen won't come up. It's a bit like Mark's. It tells me every time I try to put it on. Thank goodness that it won't come on. I wait until someone disappears from it. I just wondered who was going to Brekkie in the morning. That's all.
Yeah, I am, mate.
Right, I'll see you there.
I have to as well.
Okay.
Good on you, Ross. That'll be great.
Well, good, you got some takers. That's terrific. All right. Well, I don't think there's anything else that I need to add. If there's nothing else, I'll now close the meeting. And thank you very much indeed for tonight's Rowley. It was very interesting.
Thanks, President Jeff. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah. Thanks, Rowley.
Okay, Jeff.
Well, thanks and good night.
And hi, say hello to Denise for me, too.
I will do that, mate. She's sitting here listening.
Okay, bye.
All right. Leave it to David to pull the pin.
Good night, everyone.
Okay. Good night, all.
Good night.
Oh, very good. Very interesting.
It is. Yeah, I'll just show you how it works now. It's not here.